Okay. Big blind? Seat 3. A seat that I am not a big fan of because I am tall and my legs are long. So the frame of the table is just below me. So it's quite uncomfortable in seat 2 and 3. 7 and 8, same thing. This is the ZSOP main event. We enter at level 3, blinds are 200, 300. The button player quickly checks his cards and opens to 600. 3x the big blind. Sorry, 2x the big blind. I look down at my cards. I have queen 9 hearts. I bump it up to 1800 and the button snap calls, which makes me think he is not that strong. Ace-X quite often. Or some type of king X hand. Flop is very, very well connected. 7, 8, 9 with flop top pair. We lead up for 2000, so a little more than third pot. And the button player snap forks. Nice takedown. Just abusing the button's wide opening range. I believe it's important to set a precedence that the button player should not be opening as wide as he is and making him think twice before he opens that he is going to get free bet some of the time. No position opens here to 1000. I look down at king 8 suited. I know middle position player is very active. He has high VPIP. So I do bump it up here to 2.7x. Middle position snap calls, which is expected. He's going to be calling a very wide range. He loves to see the flop. We flop middle pair. We do go ahead and check it back. Turn is a 10 of spades. Again, here we have showdown, so I don't want to be getting check raised off this pot. Middle position goes ahead and thinks for 10 seconds and checks it over to me. At this point, I believe we are against ace X. Could be even ace 4, ace 2s that have some showdown. And we just want to be getting value and targeting those hands. Middle position doesn't think about it for long, and when he calls, I know I'm doing it. I believe now it's important to play to my table image. We did just free bet king 8 suited, so a very loose free bet, and we have to be aware that about our play image and tighten up in our next free bets. UTG opens 800, just 2x the big blind. Cut off, young player does call. And we look down at Jack 9 suited, of course not going anywhere. Standard call. I do like to take my time even though it's a standard call and balance my timing. Flop shows that we do hit 2 pair, although a very well connected board. UTG can have queen king, ace king that will want to continue bet often, but he does go ahead and check and we get a bet from the cutoff, which is actually 50% pot. Could be Jack X hands, a drawing hand that wants to start building the pot. 2 pair, 10-9. Considering we have 2 pair and UTG checked, I do want to be bumping it up quite often against cutoff. His range does consider of a lot of draws or Jack X that I'm beating. Jack 8, Jack 7, those kind of looser calls. Could just have 2 pair 10-9 that I can be value betting against. Sometimes a set 9s 10s that's slow played, but less likely considering he's a young aggressive player. I believe he would have free bet those pre-flop 9s, Jacks, 10s. And the turn card is a complete blank. We do check it back, and I believe I'm ahead here, but I don't think I'm getting worse hands to fold, and I know he's an aggressive player, so I want to protect my range here and not inflate the pot too much. But when he does lead up for 5,000, and we are considering that I believe we're just ahead very often, I'm considering a raise. Because there's many cards that I don't want to see on the river. a 7, an 8, queen, a spade. Also, I want to continue betting 2 pair hands. The 10-9, Jack-9. We do block those, but we could end up getting a chop bot against another Jack-9. It's not impossible, but it's more likely has a 10-9. Jack-8, Jack-Queen. Those type of hands that really we do not want to be seeing a river card, so I do bump it up again. I can see him hesitating a lot here, so he is strong, but I believe he's trying to consider what my bluffs are. I could also have a drawing hand with my check raise here.
The river
is not a great card, but I believe the pot is so inflated now that we cannot slow down. I believe we're missing value if we check this back to him, and it puts us in a very difficult spot if we check and he jams. So with that in mind, I prefer to be the aggressor here. If he has Queen X by this point, it is what it is.
How much do you have?
And we do jam all in here.
All in.
To get him off a Jack-9 or value bet against a 10-9, a sticky Jack-X, Jack-8. But he does just give it up quite quickly, which makes me believe he had Jack-X. And obviously not Jack-Queen, because that would be the nuts. Huge pot here to get me up to around 50k stack. Really interesting hand against a very aggressive player. Those type of pots are where I try to become comfortable with being uncomfortable, and seeking discomfort just goes down to experience and making me more comfortable in those situations later down the road. The position we look down at King 8 suited, we are quite deep. We open 1000. Small blind does call and the big blind calls too. Flop is a paired board and a 4 of diamonds, so we have the backdoor flush draw with 1 over. I go ahead and bet 20% pot. Small blind calls and the big blind. The dealer asked me a confusing question at this point. He asked if I meant to bet 300. It's impossible to bet there.
700.
Anyway, focusing on the board.
Cannot bet 300. Blind's already 500.
The turn gives me the flush draw. So here I'm considering check or bet. I believe we have both options available to us when the small blind calls, although he's going to have a lot of 10x in his range. He does check back to me. So I don't want to get check raised off this pot. And the river card gives me the flush. So at this point, I believe we have the strongest hand. This is the last hand before the break. Everyone is already starting to go on the break, so we have many players surrounding our table and watching this hand. So we have one of the corner tables, so the players tend to go in this direction. Small blind bot donk bets out for 600, really strange sizing, and I believe this could just be a 10x scared to get big value. So it's a mandatory raise from my position, considering our hand is underrepresented. He's not going to expect that I've hit a flush here. And he doesn't think about it for long and bumps it up. Why did I not just call? This puts me in a really tough spot, and I go into the tank. The small blind's calling position pre-flop, he can have pocket 4, 10-9, 10-jack, so all the full houses. I do consider flicking in the chips, but I reconsider, and I'm trying to think of this player profile and just rewinding this hand of how it's been inflated to such a big pot. I'm trying to think if this player is capable of doing this as a bluff, if he has any bluffs. Or whether he's just overvaluing a 10x hand that is not a full house, that is slow played, he did not free bet. We do show our hand, the table, it's a tough one, and I get praised for the fold. The player didn't tell me what he had, which makes me think that it was not a bluff. Players who tend to get a bluff through there tend to show their cards or tell you later. We are continuing to play, so I'm not 100% sure either way. I believe in the end though we made a very good choice, a very good decision, a disciplined one, and I do not regret my choice of making a big fold. Here the same player raises to my big blind, and I have ace king suited out of position.
How much?
So I do bump it up big because I don't want to be playing out of position. He does call, which makes me think, okay, he can have a lot of pockets, pocket 9, pocket 10s, 8s, those types of hands that don't want to be full betting, they want to play in position and see a flop. A jack high flop, I believe a lot of those pocket pairs that I mentioned are going to be under pressure, so I do continuation bet. There is a flush draw out there too. He goes ahead and calls, which is very standard for a 3-bet pot with jack high. It's still a dry board. Jack 7-5 deuce with a flush draw. Still dry, but I believe we can still represent queens, kings, aces, pocket jacks. On this turn we check it back and he bets out here. Now, this is the reality of poker, where an emotional decision will make you punt off your stack. And I didn't want to avoid putting this video in just because I made a questionable decision. A decision with ace king that we've all been there, we've overplayed it. So we go into the tank here. We consider his bet size, we consider that he can have those 8s, 9s, 10s. They're going to be under a lot of pressure on this board. That aren't going to want to call a check raise.
15 minute break for Mr. Bounty final day. And this will should raise 1,000 shoot.
All in.
So I jam all in for an additional around 25k. And he snap calls, which makes me immediately regret my decision against this player. And he has ace jack. Unfortunately, he was not going anywhere on that board. Very dry rainbow board, not connected, only a flush draw out there. So not always rainbows and sunshine. And I believe that's the beauty of poker, and we should embrace it, move on, take it on as experience, and that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and keep supporting me through this journey. You will see that the future videos are going to be interesting. And yeah, thank you. Hope you enjoyed.